Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is our Themeless Thursday episode here on a leap day. That's right. Every 4 years, I believe, we get an extra day, so I hope you're not wasting it. I know a lot of people have the day off because it shouldn't even exist. It's not even on the schedule.
Yeah, we should let AI do this for us.
No one should work
man.
today, but we're working. So let's go ahead and go on to our headlines. Today on Before Coffee. Here's how much money you need to be earning to be part of the 1%.
A Massachusetts Fire Department gets in trouble for killing a raccoon.
Brain fog from long COVID has measurable impact, studies suggest.
And we talk about court storming in college basketball.
Love, gloves, and cocktails. What are leap year superstitions in Europe?
All of those stories and a few more on today, which is Leap Day. So we'll be leaping all over the place on February 29th, 2024 on Before Coffee.
All right, we are back. Let's go into our first story, but first I need to fix my audio here. There we go. All right. First story. Do you want to be part of the 1%? Here's how much money you need. This is from CBS News by Megan Cerullo. You need more money than ever to enter the ranks of the top 1% and the richest Americans. Why is my phone vibrating so much? Like, it's not that serious. There's no way it's that serious that my phone needs to be vibrating every few seconds. Okay, there we go. You need more money than ever to enter the ranks of the top 1% of the richest Americans. To join the club of the wealthiest citizens in the U.S., you'll need at least $5.8 million. Up about 15% up from the 5.1 million 1 year ago, according to the global real estate company Knight Frank's 2024 Wealth Report. Robust wealth creation, driven in part by the strong U.S. economy, helped bump the threshold higher, the report said. Over 4% more ultra-high net worth individuals, or UNHWIs. Imagine going like, I'm a UNHWI. I'm a ultra-high net worth individual. Worth at least 30 million were minted in 2023, bringing the global total to nearly 627,000. And the US only ranks 4th globally in terms of how much wealth one needs to join the 1%. At the top of the list is Monaco, where the threshold to enter the 1% is 12.9 million, but Monaco is that kind of place. Full of rich people. People go there to be rich. You can actually get citizenship in Monaco by giving them money. It's the easy. It's golden visa, as they call it. Hey, can I live here? Yeah, just give us $1 billion. Here you go. All right, you're allowed to stay.
Money talks.
Yeah.
Money talks, bullshit walks. That's what I'm saying.
A person's wealth includes their investments, cash, and other assets, including their primary and secondary residence, according to Knight Frank's wealth management model. The new figures highlight the growing divide between the rich and the poor, both globally and domestically. Since 2020, 5 billion people have become poor, while the 5 richest men in the world have more than doubled their fortunes, according to Oxfam America's report of Inequality Incorporated. Big corporations are partially to blame for rising inequality by fighting minimum wage increases and opposing unionization efforts, according to Oxfam's research. Additionally, a massive generational shift in wealth holders is occurring. Over the next 2 decades in the U.S., $90 trillion worth of assets will be transferred from silent generation and baby boomers to younger generation, including Gen X, Millennials, and Gen Z. Millennials are expected to become the richest generation in history. Baby boomers currently hold 50% of all wealth in the United States across various asset classes, according to Fed data. I don't know what that means. I don't know what the cutoff for that, by the way, is. I don't know where they're saying everyone from 65 and later is not a baby boomer. I have no idea. The next generation is poised to inherit huge sums, and all the research we have commissioned confirms that they have value societal and environmental well-being alongside economic gain, and are unlikely to continue their relentless pursuit of growth at all costs. Ben Wadham, co-founder of Modern Affluence Exchange wrote in a report. I can only hope. There's plenty of people who'd be like, if I had $1 million, I would donate it to the poor, right? But then when you actually get that $1 million, what do you end up doing? You buy a car, you buy a Lamborghini or something, and look at me, I'm going, So there's a difference between acting affluent and actually being affluent. But I guess we'll find out soon when all the people inherit their family's money, I guess. The report also draws attention to the widening divide between rich and poor countries. Our findings confirm the substantial difference in wealth distribution between countries with smaller hubs, demonstrating a bias towards higher thresholds. Lynn Bailey, global head of research of Knight Frank, said in a report referring to the small countries. That is in part because there's a higher concentration of extremely wealthy individuals in countries like Monaco, for example, which attracts the UHNWIs because of its favorable tax laws. And it's very easy to, like I said, it's very easy to also be a citizen of that country. So everyone can just run away to Monaco if you're rich enough. As Western countries in particular grapple with governmental deficits and the need to raise tax revenue, expect greater policy focus on where wealth is located, how it is distributed across economies, and how governments can both tax it and encourage its growth, Bailey said. For example, a number of U.S. states have proposed wealth taxes to raise billions from wealthiest Americans. They include California, Connecticut, Hawaii, Illinois, Maryland, Minnesota, New York, and Washington. Here's how much wealth you need to be part of the 1% across the globe. So here's our little list. Monaco, which we already covered, at 12.9. Luxembourg, this is all in million, by the way. There's nobody here who's like less than $1 million. Everyone has to be at least having $1 million, okay? Luxembourg, 10.8. Switzerland, 8.5. United States, 5.8. Singapore, 5.2. Australia, 4.7. New Zealand, 4.6. Ireland, 3.4. Germany, 3.4 as well. I had numbered dyslexia there. Ireland is 4.3. Germany is 3.4. France is 3.3. Hong Kong, 3.1. The UK, 3.1. Italy, 2.5. Spain, 2.5, Japan, 2, and mainland China, 1.1. So if you want to be a millionaire, just get 1 million and go to China, and you're richer than everybody in the whole country. So there is your news on how rich everyone else is and how rich you aren't, unless you happen to also be part of the 1%. Then thanks for watching the show, and please donate us $1 million, since you probably have a bunch of extra.
Money doesn't.
Unless you're from mainland China, you only have that 1 million. But everyone else at least has 2. Everyone else at least has 2 million. Japan and higher. So that's my story, and I guess on to yours.
And money doesn't buy happiness. However, it will rent a reasonable facsimile of happiness.
Yeah.
Today's news on raccoon control. The Springfield, Massachusetts Fire Commissioner defends running over a rabid raccoon, says it posed a public safety threat. We didn't know if it wasn't for the video, which I just watched. It was kind of sad. This is from the Boston Globe. Travis Anderson and Ava Berger. I know a Berger from Massachusetts. I wonder if they're related. Springfield Fire Commissioner Wednesday defended his decision to drive a department vehicle over a rabid raccoon last week outside his agency's headquarters, saying that he chose to run the animal over to prevent it from getting into the community where children and pets are. Commissioner Bernard Calley said in a phone interview that the department started getting phone calls around 9:30 a.m. on February 21st regarding a rabid raccoon in the neighborhood. Around 1:30 p.m., he said the raccoon was spotted in an area outside the fire department headquarters in Worthington Street. Firefighters called for assistance from animal control personnel, but help wasn't available. They don't handle wild animals, Calvi said. Animal control doesn't handle wild animals. Okay. How do they know it's a wild animal? What do they do if it's a pet raccoon and it has rabies? Do they not show up for that? What a weird animal control situation. We tried to get the animal corralled as best we could, but ultimately the commissioner decided to take the drastic measure in an effort to protect public safety, driving a department SUV over the animal. He said the DPW workers later came and collected its remains. I think it was the best decision I could make at the time to keep the raccoon on city property, Calvi said. Animal rights advocates disagreed. The raccoon was made to suffer needlessly, crushed beneath a vehicle's tires, something unconscionable in this day and age when veterinarians and humane societies could have put him down painlessly, said the animal rights group PETA in a statement. PETA urges Springfield officials to establish proper protocols in order to ensure that wildlife is always treated humanely and, if necessary, euthanized with care and consideration. Hampton County Register of Deeds Cheryl Coakley Rivera, meanwhile, posted a video on Facebook on Monday of Calvi repeatedly driving over the raccoon. Not doing a good job of it either. I mean, raccoon ain't gonna just sit there and say, "Run me over." Mayor Dominic, well, it was clearly out of its mind. Mayor Dominic J. Sarno defended Calvi in a statement Wednesday. "Damned if you do, damned if you don't." Sarno said, "Time was of the essence in order to protect our residents, especially our children and our pets, because of course raccoons can fly. This was an unfortunate situation, but one that had to have been taken in the name of public health safety. Nobody in Massachusetts has a gun." He said police and fire commissioner B.J. Calvi located dangerous rabid raccoons who were wandering around, confused, agitated, and foaming at the mouth at the Worthington Street Fire headquarters. Noting rabies is potentially fatal, Sarno said Commissioner Calvi took immediate action in the name of the public health and safety to make sure that not only our brave and dedicated firefighters were safe, but just as important, our residents, specifically children and pets, would not be harmed. That raccoon was just sitting there, I can't wait to get my hands on some children and pets. Commissioner, he took action to make sure our children and pets will not be harmed. God forbid if this wild animal attacked a child. For sure. Calvi's move, first reported by Mass Live, is not without precedent. Rabid and possibly rabid raccoons were previously run over by first responders and locales, including Shelby, Ohio, in 2019, and Ravenna, New York, the year before, according to published reports. You don't encounter things like this often, Calvi said. Well, he was resourceful and did the job, although it looks cruel and people are outraged. It was going to be disposed of one way or the other. It's just somebody had, hey, let me get my camera out. Actually, it's like a security camera. You can see, like, pointing at it. Like somebody across the street was intentionally panning and tilting the security camera. And you can watch the grainy video on the internet.
If you so desire.
Yeah. You won't see anything radical. I didn't see anything radical. Just a guy trying to run over a raccoon. Not like, oh my God, look at the guts everywhere. None of that. But I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I think, yeah, as usual, cops make the dumbest decisions.
Well, it wasn't a cop.
Under
wasn't
pressure.
A cop. Not a cop. Definitely not a cop.
Oh, okay.
Fire
Sorry.
chief.
I thought it was.
Nothing like a cop.
Okay.
The opposite of a cop. They put fires out.
Yeah. Very weird. I'm speechless. Of course, PETA picked it up instantly. Because.
Well, yeah.
They're always looking for animal abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere.
It's dicey. I mean, if somebody's kid would have got bitten, he would have gone in even bigger trouble. So I can see his point of view too. But nobody has a gun. None of you guys.
Yeah.
Nobody. Right? Not even. Hey, my friend the cop, come over here. And my buddy with the 22. And a little raccoon. It ain't like some grizzly bear.
I guess it was jumping like a jelly bean or something. I don't know. Crazy.
They're aggressive. They're aggressive because they're out of their minds. You know.
Yeah.
The time I had rabies, I was just out of my mind.
I think you can, if I remember, you can survive rabies if you get the vaccination as soon as it happens. It's if you ignore it for a couple weeks is when you die 100% of the time. So
you actually start foaming at the mouth and you get afraid of water.
Yeah, it's very scary to see.
Hydrophobia.
Water aversion. Well, that's that news story, I guess.
Our rabid raccoon news.
On rabid raccoons. Speaking of things affecting your mental state, did you have long COVID, or do you have long COVID, I should say, because there's no cure. You might be having a measurable impact of brain fog for the rest of your life. Thanks! I don't know who to blame. Somebody. Blame someone for this. Whoever let COVID just, it's just the flu. The first person to ever say, it's just the flu, fuck that guy, okay? Because it's not just the flu. It has irreparable damage to people's bodies. Sorry?
The Chinese government for suppressing information for so long about it.
Maybe, yeah. But everyone did. Everyone suppressed. Because, of course, governments, the only thing governments care about is the economy, okay? I don't care which government you're living in. That's the only thing they care about. All of the governments. So they were like, if we tell people they can't go outside and that they're going to die and freaking them out, our economy's going to tank, which it did. Anyways. So, of course, everyone didn't want to share information because the more freaked out everyone is, the more chaotic. And as I learned in my government class in 10th grade, governments are there to stop chaos. So if they're causing chaos, they're doing the opposite of their job, I guess. Either way.
Places like Singapore and Hong Kong and places like that handled it all right. Everybody else should have been able to. That's my theory. Anyway, back to you.
This is my theory. This is an article on The Guardian by Hannah Delvin. People experiencing long COVID have measurable memory and cognitive deficits equivalent to a difference of about 6 IQ points, a study suggests. Of course, IQ is just a theorem. It doesn't actually indicate anything, but the study, which assessed more than 140,000 people in the summer of 2022, revealed that COVID-19 may have an impact on cognitive and memory abilities that last a year or more after infection. People with unresolved symptoms that had persisted for more than 12 weeks had more significant deficits in performance on tasks involving memory, reasoning, and executive function. Scientists said this showed that brain fog had a quantifiable impact. Professor Adam Hampshire, a cognitive neuroscientist at the Imperial College London and first author of the study, said, "It's not been at all clear what brain fog actually is. As a symptom, it's been reported on quite extensively, but what our study shows is that the brain fog can correlate with objectively measurable deficits. That is quite an important finding." Last year, in the Office for National Statistics estimated about 2 million people in the UK were experiencing self-reported long COVID. Previous Imperial College analysis found tens of thousands of people in England, only in England, may have symptoms that has lasted a year or more after infection. The latest study recorded more than 140,000 participants from the original REACT cohort, which launched in April 2020, as one of the world's largest and most comprehensive COVID surveillance studies. Between August and September 2022, participants were given online cognitive tests designed to test memory, attention, reasoning, and other aspects of brain function. I might have long COVID myself because I feel like I don't know if it's old age or long COVID, but my brain does not work as well as it used to. I can't speak, as anyone who watches this show has noticed. My speaking has definitely never been good, but I feel like it's gone worse. About 3.5% of the cohort had experienced symptoms that persisted beyond 12 weeks, and of these, about 2/3 still had symptoms at the time of the assessment. The analysis found small deficits that were still detectable a year or more after the infection, for those who had been infected and no longer had symptoms. The difference in test scores between those who had been infected and those who had not was equivalent to about 3 IQ points, had they been given an IQ test. Yeah, but IQ tests are already so differential to begin with. So what's the control in this test? Like, the only way you could have a proper control is get somebody to do an IQ test and somehow have the same, like, they got well rested, they ate food, and then they did the IQ test. and then give them COVID, and then after do the same thing, have them have arrested, eat well, and then do the IQ test. I have no idea how you can properly do this without billions of variables being involved. Like just being that, like my mom died yesterday. Oh, my IQ points dropped 10 points because I'm on the test. You know, like there's so many things that can affect test scores. So I find it interesting that they're just, yeah, we did test and we determined from, it doesn't sound as strong. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying long COVID isn't real, but it doesn't sound as scientific as they're trying to portray. For individuals, the size of change is unlikely to be noticeable, scientists said, although some may have experienced more pronounced effects. Those patients with unresolved symptoms that have persisted more than 12 weeks were found to have a large deficit equivalent to 6 IQ points. Dr. Maxine Takwe, I think that's how I'm going to say her name, a psychiatrist and researcher at the University of Oxford, who was not involved in the study, said, even if cognitive deficits after COVID-19 are of small magnitude on average, a substantial minority of people have more significant deficits which are likely to affect their ability to work and function. Given the scale of the pandemic and the number of people affected, this is particularly worrisome. More encouragingly, those who had longer-lasting symptoms that had resolved showed comparable deficits to those who had experienced mild, short duration of illness. Yeah, I definitely had a very, very mild. For me, it was just like any other sickness. To be fair, I think we already had our shot and a booster when I got COVID, so my body was already ready for it, and I just felt sick for like 2 days, and then I was fine. I'm sure I probably had some residual tiredness, but we were in Greece when this happened, so we were on holiday. Professor Paul Elliott, a senior author, and you didn't get sick at all, right? Or did you? After the...
I got sick before COVID. Before everybody said...
No, I mean before a trip to Greece. Did you get sick at all from that?
No.
Yeah. Me and Robert got sick, but you didn't get sick. Naomi got sick, but you were fine, so... Which is lucky, because you're the risk in the scenario, right? We were all young people. It was, so... I mean, I was a risk because I have asthma, but nothing really happened to me.
Maybe I have superior immunity to everybody.
Yeah.
Not
You're just so much better than us.
I'm AI, actually.
Yeah, you're a robot. You can't get sick.
That's what you got to do with your stories. Read them with like AI.
Yeah.
Put the inflection in the wrong spot. You know. Talk like Christopher Walken.
Professor Paul Elliott, a senior author.
Please
a director of the REACT program from the Imperial College of London said, it is reassuring that people with persistent symptoms after COVID that had resolved may expect to experience some improvement in their cognitive function to similar levels as those who experienced short illness. There were larger differences for people who had unresolved symptoms lasting 12 weeks or more, consistent with long COVID, and those who had been to a hospital for their illness, who had the most noticeable deficits, and ones that extended to a broader range of cognitive functions. The difference was also bigger for those who were infected with one of the early variants of the virus, but it was not possible to say whether this was due to the introduction of vaccines or better treatment as the pandemic unfolded. I do know there is this YouTuber who does science videos, and she's had long COVID since I think October of last year or something, maybe even longer, and she can't get out of bed. She's so tired, her body is so tired. All she can do is lay there, eat food, like really easy consumable food, like liquid, almost a liquid diet, because she's so tired. Her body is so tired after having COVID. So, but these are some of the very rare chronic long COVID conditions that happen, which of course everyone is ignoring, because unfortunately we do live in an ableist society who doesn't like to see the people with disabilities, and we don't like to help them. We're just like, oh, you have a disability? That sounds like a personal problem. I'm going to look over here to all the normal people who have normal lives. I'm sorry your life is so hard, but I'm not going to help you. In a blunt way, that's what kind of the government does. There's even governments who ban people with disabilities from even from moving to their country, because they don't want people to rely on their infrastructure. You're just coming here to get the taxpayers' money, you know? Oh, you have a disability? Sorry, you're not allowed to live here. So, The world is still quite cruel to these people, and that's why long COVID is such a huge deal, because it is a sudden illness that is affecting a lot of people in a lot of very harsh ways, and they have no support. So if you know anybody with long COVID, try to help them. I don't know anybody, but I guess I can go find someone. Hey, anyone here have long COVID? Give them your support, because the government probably isn't giving them that support. On to your next story.
There's a next story. Okay, we got a short story that I just found. Kind of cool. This is from AP. Looking for a leap year lift? Check out this silly French newspaper that only publishes on February 29th. This is Paris, AP. Read all about it now, or you'll have to wait another 4 years. Satirical French newspaper Le Bourget des Super only comes out on February 29th. It's a leap year publication filled with cringeworthy puns and commentary on events of the past 4 years. The 2024 edition includes an article suggesting France doesn't need schools anymore thanks to artificial intelligence. Another floats the idea of dismantling the Eiffel Tower during the Paris Olympics to reduce security risk, and having IKEA produce a manual for rebuilding it. Some friends started the newspaper as a joke in 1980, naming it after the comic book figure who was born on February 29th. The last edition in 2020, as the world went into COVID lockdowns, speaking of COVID, sold 120,000 copies. Revenue for the newsstand sales goes mainly to charity for people with disabilities. Its editors are proudly politically incorrect, and some articles seem rather well dated, but that's the point. And lifting the mood a bit. When the world goes out of whack, reads its once in a 4-year editorial. Sometimes you have to laugh about it. This is called the Le Bourget des Super. If you want to read it, I mean, you can read the online copy, I think. Let me see if this link works. Yeah. Oh, no, the link doesn't work. Oh, I guess you're just going to buy it. I don't know.
Oh, God.
Anyway, you can probably find it online somewhere. Somebody's got it up. Oh, and then we'll get to our main story, which is about college basketball and its tradition in American college basketball. Or this does not happen in the pros at any level. On any sport. It doesn't really happen in any other sport. You can't do it in hockey. Football field's too big to really storm, right? You're too far away from it. But in basketball, especially college, you're right up on the action. The student section especially. Mr. AP, John Zanor. Recent incidents in college basketball have underscored the potential dangers that come from jubilant fans storming the court after a game comes to an end. Finding a solution is proving to be a challenge. Duke center Kyle Filipowski and Iowa star Caitlin Clark both got caught in scary incidents recently. An Ohio State fan accidentally knocked Clark down after the Buckeyes beat the visiting Hawkeyes last weekend. And last weekend, Filipowski's got his right knee banged up in a collision with a Wake Forest fan. Duke coach John Shayer called for immediate measures from the Atlantic Coast Conference to prevent court storming, but stopping such often impromptu celebration is easier said than done, especially when the most student sections are so close to the court and what pretty much everyone else believes is one of the unique and beloved things about the sport. Yeah, I guess. You can try to do zero tolerance policy, but how are you going to enforce that? Said Brandon Allen, director of the research for National Center for Sports Safety and Security. And what does that look like? Basketball powerhouse Kansas and coach Bill Self have endured court stormings and road losses. Self said he thinks it has gotten better by educating players on how to deal with those situations and getting to the locker room swiftly, but he doesn't like that they have to. I mean, calling a timeout with 15 seconds left in a 10-point game to get guys out of the game and telling them, don't go out there, stand by the sideline. He said, but even with that, they should not be the responsibility of the visiting team to educate their guys. I don't like it. I would think that the leagues could certainly put stiff enough penalties down on places that do that to certainly deter these things from ever happening. Some leagues have fines in place, and they haven't stopped anything. Allen doesn't think they are effective, nor does he like suggestions from Alabama Athletic Director Greg Byrne that teams whose fans rush to court forfeit the game. He thinks that some schools may have to consider moving student sections far from the court and pulling season tickets from fans who storm the court. A simple warning for fans to let visiting teams leave the court before coming down might also help. In my opinion, there's going to have to be some kind of consequence for these fans rushing the court and hurting athletes, he said. The Southeastern Conference, in addition to six-figure fines that go directly to the visiting schools, has put in new rules requiring more uniform law enforcement protection for teams before, during, and after games, not just security guards. Jeffrey Hammond, an assistant commissioner for the SEC, said that there has been an added emphasis on protecting visiting teams and giving them a safe path to the locker rooms. In many ways, from a physical security standpoint, it becomes unsafe to try to stop them, fans, if the group decides they're going to come down, said Hammond, who headed up a working group that came up with the league's recent rule updates. He pointed out that ringing the court with extra security personnel hasn't really worked. So we fight the battle that we can and focus more on these resources on them. Focus more of these resources on them, the team themselves, helping them get off safely. Storming football fields and basketball courts have become a beloved option for fans over time. The Boston Public Library has a photo of fans going after a goalpost after a 1940 Harvard Army game. People get hurt during that. Goalposts come down, crashing down. And basketball fans rushed to court after a so-called game of the century in 1968 when Houston knocked off UCLA in the Astrodome. First college hoop game televised coast to coast. Notre Dame fans hit the courts after Fighting Irish ended UCLA's record 88-game winning streak in 1974. Kurt Kemper, a history professor at Dakota State, said fans rushed to court at Madison Square Garden in 1950 when City College of New York became the only school to win both the NIT and NCAA tournaments. Kemper, who has written books on college football and basketball, said he's found no evidence of players back then taunting opposing teams. The reductivism and intimacy provided by television and the 24/7 media access, often glorifying and exalting devoted, hostile student sections, Cameron Crazies and K-Ville being the most important. Cameron Crazy refers to Cameron Arena and Duke, stadium they played at. Duke doesn't storm the court because they're used to winning so much, probably. And K-Ville, I guess, is Kentucky. I'm not sure. Being the most important. I'm not sure what that K-Ville refers to. The reductive, let's redo the sentence. Reductivism and intimacy provided by television and 24/7 media access, often glorifying and exalting devoted, hostile student sections, has shifted that dynamic to such that students exhibit little to no sense of transgression.
I have an answer for you.
Email, alluding to Duke's home fan. Answer for what?
What K-Ville means.
Oh, what is it?
K-Ville, for short, is a phenomenon that occurs before major men's basketball games at Duke University. In simplest term, is the line for undergraduate students wishing to gain access to the designated tenting games. It is often mistakenly referred to as a ticket line. However, there are no student tickets. Students are admitted from the line an hour and a half before each game. Kreiswickville is named for... Yeah, it's really hard to say. I don't know how to say that. But K-Ville is named
Coach Krzyzewski.
Yeah, it's named after him. So
Coach K. That's what they call him, Coach K.
Yeah.
It's pronounced... If you try to pronounce it, it's Krzyzewski.
He coached from 1980 to 2022, and he's one, I guess. Known. So he's that's why they call it. It's called K-Ville because basically people are rushing to get into the game because there's no tickets, there's no line. They're just like, I want to be in here. I'm undergraduate. Can I watch the game? I guess. There you go.
All right. No coach wants his players or staff in jeopardy, but Marquette coach Shaka Smart said He doesn't want schools and leagues to overact, and noting that court storming celebrations are an aspect of college sports that create memorable scenes if they can be done safely. Whoever is working in game operations, we just got to make sure the players are safe because we don't want anyone to get hurt, Smart said. You look at some of the pictures like iconic wins with people hanging off goalposts in football and everybody on the court in basketball. So I wouldn't say a blanket statement, you've got to get rid of it all. I wouldn't say a blanket statement, you've got to get rid of it at all, is what Shaka Smart said. There's your story. Shaka Smart has the best name for any coach anywhere.
That is a pretty good name.
And he coaches my team, the Marquette Golden Eagles. They used to be called.
That's
your
team?
But,
oh, yeah?
Yeah, since I was a kid.
Cool. All right, so now we've learned so many new things about college basketball, including what K-ville means for people who didn't go to Duke University. Sorry, God.
And Cameron Crazies, too.
Yeah, Cameron Crazies. I do like when they, let me take these headphones off. I do like when they do the court rushes, but I do also see how it is very dangerous to just have thousands of people trample each other because, woo, we won, or whatever.
I hate to blame the player, but the player himself, he needed to get his ass off the court. He was standing in the middle of the court. I'm going to stand here and knock people over. So, biggest dude on the court, too. You know,
just punch some people, you know. I got punched by the star player or something.
A couple of well-placed elbows. Oh, I don't know what happened, man. Are those your teeth on the floor? I don't know.
All right. For our culture news, let's talk about weird superstitions that Europeans have on leap year. I didn't know there were superstitions for leap year, but we're going to tell you about them. This is by our friend David Morquand on Your News Culture. It's the 29th of February, a date that comes only every 4 years. But why and what are the traditions and superstitions in Europe surrounding the special day? Whether you like it or not, 2024 is a leap year, meaning today is not the start of a new month. For those amongst you who need a cheeky refresher as to why February gets an extra day, leap years take place every 4 years. The reason we have leap years is because the Earth's orbit isn't exactly 365 days long, resulting in what is known as a drift. It actually takes 365.242 days for our planet to complete one revolution around the sun. That means each typical 365-day year ends a quarter day short of the complete orbit. Therefore, leap years essentially ensure that our calendars align with the Earth's orbit and line up with equinoxes and solstices. If you were aware of this, what you may not know is there is a ton of European superstitions and traditions surrounding the 29th of February, mostly linked with love and bad luck. Here's a quick breakdown of all of these superstitions. Greece, don't do it. In Greek folklore, the superstition goes that getting engaged or married during a leap year will curse the union. So nobody get married this year. The ultimate end in divorce or an untimely death of your partner. You may be cursing your partner to an early grave if you get married this year. Nice and cheery to start with. As if that was enough, tradition dictates that those getting divorced in a leap year won't find happiness for the rest of their lives. Lovely. Ireland, ladies' privilege. Going against the Greek and Ukrainian model is the Irish custom, which states that women can propose to men on a leap year. This dates back to the 5th century when Saint Brigid of Kildare, who thought that women had to wait too long for a proposal, agreed that St. Patrick that women could propose. From then on, every 4 years, women were encouraged to get down on one knee and ask their partner to marry them. This is known as the ladies' privilege, and the 29th is also known as Bachelor's Day, a day in which could prove costly. Indeed, if the proposal is refused, it is a tradition for women to receive a gift of compensation, usually a silk gown. You can probably get that for really cheap these days because of the sweatshops. Scotland. Historical finds. Irish monks took the ladies' privilege tradition to Scotland with an added detail. Women must wear a red petticoat when proposing. It was then made law by Queen Margaret of Scotland in 1288 that any leap day refusal also demanded compensation, a monetary fine, or like in Ireland, a gift of silk dresses. So interesting that they both were like, yeah, women can propose on this day. but you must say yes, or else pay. Denmark, no love, then glove. Same deal as Irish and Scots, but if Danish men refuse a woman's proposal, they have to give the woman 12 pairs of gloves to cover up the fact that she isn't wearing an engagement ring. 12.
Ooh.
I guess one for every day, and then this next week as well. That's a lot of gloves. A cold year.
One for each month. One for each month.
Yeah, I guess so. All right. From Germany, some Germans believe that the entirety of the leap year is unlucky. Spoil sports. Their saying goes, here we go, Skaltstar gleek Kaltstar, meaning leap year means a cold year. However, later in the year, in the German state of Rhineland, there's a tradition that on the eve of the 1st of May, men decorate birch trees with paper ribbons as a sign they love their partners. This is reversed on a leap year, where women are invited to do the same. So basically, leap years exist for women to have rights, and then every other year, get fucked. Scotland again, justice for leaplings. Anyone born on the 29th of February is said to be unlucky in Scottish culture and referred to as leaplings. True, they don't get to celebrate many birthdays, but to make things worse, Scottish tradition adds on another layer by saying that leaplings are doomed to a lifetime of untold suffering. They also consider leap years a doomed for farmers. As the saying goes, leap year was never a good sheep year. Wow, I didn't know that was a saying. I think I knew somebody who was born on the 29th of February. And yeah, they were like, we just celebrate on the 28th. It's fine. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
This isn't my real birthday. It's somewhere in the middle of the 28th and the 1st of March, because that's the problem with math. In Italy. Sorry?
Just save all them birthdays up and celebrate them at once.
Yeah, cash them in.
Yeah.
A whaley good time. In Reggio Emilia, a province in northern Italy, a leap year is commonly known as the Anna della Ballina, or the whale year. The belief behind this is that whales only give birth during leap years. Whale done. That's not me. That was David. I give David the credit for that one. England, bottoms up. In 1928, bartender Harry Caddick was working as a bartender at the renowned Savoy Hotel in London. The story goes that he devised a drink to celebrate the leap year. The ingredients include gin, sweet vermouth, lemon juice, and Grand Marnier. So basically, it's an excuse to get smashed on your extra day of February. Trust the English. Well, I guess make that drink if you have the ingredients. We do have gin in our fridge because we did like this. I think for one of the bachelor parties Robert went to, they made gin. That was the thing. They made gin at a ginnery. And, so we have gin. So I guess I just need, I don't know what vermouth is. I know it's an alcohol.
It's for making martinis.
So I guess I'll go make some gin and lemon juice and go, ooh, tastes awful because I don't drink alcohol.
Because we just go chew on a pine tree. About the same taste.
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
And what you covered, France's unique newspaper, La Bougie des Sapeurs. In France, there's a special satirical newspaper, which we just covered. I won't go into detail about it. They went into real detail about it, but they've had many funny puns, and it always outsells and sells out because it only comes once every 4 years, so the biggest hype ever. Just don't forget to get your volume of the 12th edition coming out today, because maybe you can sell it for $1 million and then join those 1% in China when you make $1 million from your collection of Leap Day magazines. But that's it. That's all of our interesting things that at least David could find that happens on a leap day. It was mostly centered on northern, just like Italy was really the odd one out here. Everyone else is from northern Europe, but there you go. Check out, go and ask to get married to your boyfriend, I guess, because this year and today is the only day you're allowed to, and they have to pay you.
Yep.
Imagine if you did that. Imagine if you go to Scotland, you say, marry me, and then they say no, and then you're like, well, I'm taking you to court because you owe me compensation for denying me marriage, according to a law from 1288, you know?
Wow.
I wonder if it still is
Try
a
to
law
enforce
in
that.
practice.
Yeah.
If people are actually, refusing to get married and giving 12 gloves to their
12 gloves.
yeah.
12 pairs.
But that's today, and let's see if there's anything today in history that happened on our rare 29th of February.
Well, in history, do you know when the first leap day was?
What?
Does it tell you? Oh, it was 46 BC.
Really? They've been doing it since that long.
It was started in the Julian calendar, which of course is named after Julius Caesar. So Julius Caesar gave us our first leap day.
Thanks, Julius. Sorry about the stabbing.
The Romans had figured out at that time that the calendar was a little bit off, and we need to adjust the day. Of course, the Julian calendar, it's just numbers. Like it'll start with the year, and then it'll count the days. Like January 1st is like this year would be January 1st would be 24001. January 2nd will be 24002. So Julian just counts until 366.
Yeah.
365. That's the Julian date. That's I used to do in Marine Corps paperwork prior to Julian date. So I always had to know it.
So
anyway,
that's so interesting. Didn't know that.
On this day in history, they basically would have had done a lot of research for this. 1704, I could read this as AI. The town of Deerfield, Massachusetts, was raised in the bloodiest battle of Queen Anne's War. Queen Anne's War, raised, not as in raised as in burned to the ground. R-A-Z-E-D, raised. The British, or somebody, it was the Queen Anne's Wars between the British and the Spanish, I believe. 1704. However. 1736, and this day, Anne Lee, Mother Anne, the religious leader who brought the Shaker sect from England to an American colonies, was born in Manchester, England. In 1768, the Confederation of Bar was organized to defend the privileges of Roman Catholic Church and the independence of Poland against Russian encroachment. Russian encroachment was still going on back in 1868. We still got it to this day. Russian encroachment. 1896, Indian politician Morarji Desai, who, as Prime Minister of India, 1977 to 79, was the first leader of sovereign India not to represent the long-ruling Indian National Congress Party, was born. So happy birthday. You have it every 4 years, so you're only 1896 instead of being 128. You're only like what? 100? You're only like 32. Jimmy Dorsey. I did quick math in my mind. I think 32. Like 128 divided by 4 is 32. So happy 32nd birthday to Morarji Desai. Jimmy Dorsey was born on this day in 1904. Happy 30th birthday to Jimmy Dorsey. He turns 30 today. Jimmy Dorsey, whose orchestra was born in the most popular big bands of the swing area in the United States, was born. So happy 30th birthday. 1920. A new democratic constitution was adopted by the National Assembly, elected by Czech and Slovak leaders, furthering the consolidation of the two states into Czechoslovakia.
And then they were like, hey, we don't like each other. Let's not be a country anymore.
That's right. Happy 29th birthday. No, it ain't 29th. What is it? What's 104 divided by 4? Happy 26th birthday to Czechoslovakia.
Yeah,
1940. Every 4 years, you got to divide by 4 in all these. Okay, 1940, her performance for Gone with the Wind, Hattie McDaniel became the first African American to win the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. Not a birthday, an anniversary. 1980. At the age of 51, Canadian hockey player Gordie Howe became the first first to score 800 goals in NHL. He was 51.
Wow.
He did it on Elite Day. Gordie Howe played for a long damn time.
No
he played
kidding.
with his sons. Him and his sons were on the same team. Not
What
just
the
one
hell?
son.
What?
Not just one son. He was 51 when he was playing.
That's amazing.
I think-
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Gordie Howe has a bridge named after him between the United States and Canada. That's how famous he is.
And I
2004, The Return of the King, the last installment of the adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's epic fantasy Lord of the Rings, received 11 Academy Awards, tying the record held by Ben-Hur and Titanic.
hell yeah.
So congratulations.
And it deserved
Congratulations. Yeah, that happened 5 years ago today.
it. Okay, if you say so. Also, a fun fact about that: the reason that they got all those Oscars then is because they were going to give. This is the theory, right? The theory is that they were going to give them Oscars for Fellowship and for Two Towers, but they're like, we'll just give them all the Oscars they deserve at the end. You know, at the end of the trilogy,
Right.
because
It's all
otherwise
the
they
same
probably,
actors.
yeah, they probably would have won all of them. Like way more in total if they got Oscars for the Fellowship, but that's what the Oscars do, right? They go,
We know it's all politics.
yeah, they politize it and go, well, we can give them a leader.
You can't have humans without politics.
Yep,
That's
what we do.
That's who we are. That's who we are, man. Also having birthdays today. Oh, okay. A featured event was voting begun on Bosnian independence. Began this day in 1992. The Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina held a referendum on independence that won almost unanimous support. And on March 3rd, independence was proclaimed, prompting shelling by Serbian forces. We just can't.
Lovely
have
Serbia.
peace, huh?
Yeah. Actually, I think one of my professors was from Bosnia, so they were a survivor of the independence movement.
Of course, that happened in 1992.
Yeah.
Which is how many years ago?
Divided by 4?
8. It was 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Gioacchino Rossini was born on this day on February 29th, 1792. Let's do that math. It's 232.
Okay. That's still pretty old.
232 divided by 4. Yeah, he's really old. He died November 13th, 1868, at the age of 76 in Paris. He was born in Pesaro, Italy. Well, they don't know where he died. Paris or Passy, France. That's Gioacchino
50 years
Rossini,
ago.
Italian composer. What?
58 years ago.
58 years ago, this guy died. It seems like yesterday. Other birthdays: Balthus, the French painter, was born in 1908. So again, he's
1988 is we?
29.
29.
1908.
1908. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, so he's 29. And Eileen Wuornos, a serial killer named Eileen. That's an oddity. Well, born on Leap Day in 1956.
Well, they did say you have terrible lives if you're born on the 29th.
Algerian singer Khalid was born in 1960, turning the ripe old age this year of 16. 16 years old if you're born in 1960. All right. National Day calendar. Well, besides Leap Day, nothing in music history. I thought something would, other than they found Buddy Holly's glasses on this day in 1980 in a police file that had been filed away for 21 years.
His glasses?
So somebody was going through in Mason, Iowa. Yeah. Well, he died in a plane crash. So somebody collecting evidence. His glasses that he wore in his flight were found in a file cabinet in Mason, Iowa, after being there for 21 years. Interesting. That was bizarre. And of course, the clerk who found him immediately made $1 million selling them on an auction.
Oh, lovely.
That's the way things work in capitalism.
Yeah,
Everything's
watch
got a
out.
price.
Don't get too famous. People will be selling all your junk for millions.
And in conjunction with our long COVID and story and Leap Day, it's also Rare Disease Day, USA. So it's a rare day, so it's also a Rare Disease Day. So we're only going to remember rare diseases every 4 years. The rest of the time, we're just going to forget about it.
Oh, you have that rare disease? Talk to me on a leap year. Talk to me on a leap year about it. I don't care right now.
Yeah. Wants to hear about you. You're only 6. What? I'm 24. Okay, that's right. It's a joke. It's a Leap Day joke. National Toast Day. So, National Toast Day is only on February. It's the last Thursday in February. So, it's not the 29th. It just happens to fall on the last Thursday in February. So, it's National Toast Day. It happens every year. And it's National Time Refund Day. So, also, Rare Disease Day is also the last day in February, so it's not the 29th, so it doesn't happen 4 years. It happens every year. So, fight them rare diseases. They're just as bad as the non-rare. And you don't even know if they're rare. You just may have just diagnosed it in 5 or 10 people.
Give less money to cancer research and give more money to rare disease research. Because cancer research is actually overabundance in money. They actually have too much money.
And it all gets spent on people that are on their way out.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, you're 90 years old, you got cancer. I'm like, okay. Well, nothing cruel about it, but you know what? Let's worry about children and teenagers with cancer more than we worry about the older, people that had a life. And not that they're not important people, but, we're all worried about the people with money is what I'm saying. So that's our days for today. National Toast Day, so I'm definitely going to have some toast.
Hell yeah.
Or maybe I'll just toast it myself. That'll
toast yourself, you mean?
That'll pass the time. And that's it for February 29th, 2024 on Before Coffee. An extra day and an extra few minutes.
Hell yeah. All right, this has been Allison here, and that has been your dad jokes of the freaking last 10 minutes, because dad joke of the day. Because the whole time was just dad jokes about how every 4 years something happens. But we will see you tomorrow for our Friday news dump, as we will end this week and go into March. Time flies. Hope you're having a good one. Stay safe out there and propose to your boyfriend today and get some money in compensation, because if they're not proposing to you already, you have to do it. Something's wrong.
We are a litigious people.
They're just people.
Litigious people. Litigious. We like to sue.
All right. Anyways, here is your mic drop moment.
Why go on? In 100 years, the planet will be uninhabitable. In 10 million years, the sun will burn out. In 100 billion years, all matter will disintegrate from the universe. I said, perhaps, but in the meantime, in between time, ain't we got fun? Besides, you're forgetting about God. He said, how do you know there's a God? I said, of course there's a God. Do you think billions of years ago, a bunch of molecules floating around at random without rhyme or reason could someday have had the sense of humor to make you look like that? He said, I used to believe in God. I said, that's good. Were you a Christian or a Jew? He said, a Christian. I said, me too. Protestant or Catholic? He said, Protestant. I said, me too. What franchise? He says, Baptist. I said, me too. Northern Baptist or Southern Baptist? He says, Northern Baptist. I said, me too. Northern Conservative Baptist or Northern Liberal Baptist? He says, Northern Conservative Baptist. I said, me too. Northern Conservative Fundamentalist Baptist or Northern Conservative Reform Baptist? He says, Northern Conservative Fundamentalist Baptist. I said, me too. Northern Conservative Fundamentalist Baptist, Great Lakes region, or Northern Conservative Fundamentalist Baptist, Baptist Eastern region. He says, Northern Conservative Fundamentalist Baptist Great Lakes region. I said, me too. Northern Conservative Fundamentalist Baptist Great Lakes region, Council of 1879. Or Northern Conservative Fundamentalist Baptist Great Lakes region, Council of 1912. He says, Northern Conservative Fundamentalist Baptist Great Lakes region, Council of 1912. I said, die, heretic. And I pushed him over. I feel so cleansed.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.